Welcome to the AMTC 2021 interview series, where I have been joined by Cindy Koh from EDB Singapore. Hi, Cindy. Thank you so much for being with us today. Just to start with, could you tell us a little bit about EDB Singapore, its remit, but also your role there?
Thanks, Rachel, for having me here. Really glad to have a female counterpart here.
Absolutely.
At this conference. Well, the EDB actually stands for Economic Development Board. So our primary role is economic development for Singapore. And we report into the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And you may not know this, but manufacturing contributes about 25% of Singapore's GDP.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And EDB is responsible for the entire manufacturing sector in Singapore.
So how does additive manufacturing fit into that then?
I will talk a bit more about that later, but I thought I'll introduce my role as well. So I'm the Executive Vice President for EDB International Operations. So today we have 16 offices outside of Singapore, and my team based outside Singapore is really about engaging companies, identifying new industries that Singapore government should invest in developing capabilities. So I mentioned that, manufacturing is about 25% of GDP today, and you may not know, but EDB is a 600 women and men strong organization.
Nice.
So it's a heavy responsibility.
What's the gender split in there?
It's almost 50-50, actually.
Fantastic. That's so good to hear. A few countries could learn from that.
Yeah. So yes, I hope I've introduced the role of EDB and my role, and happy to have this discussion around Singapore's role in additive manufacturing with you.
Okay, fantastic. So based on that and your knowledge and insight of additive manufacturing within Asia, how do you see that progressing, and what are the trends that you're seeing developing across the region?
So pre-COVID, the global additive manufacturing industry is valued about 10.6 billion euros.
Yep.
That is significant.
Yep.
Asia is the second largest market in additive manufacturing.
Doesn't surprise me.
After US, we are just slightly ahead of Europe.
Yep.
And what is interesting is that if you look at the adoption of additive manufacturing, we saw the US as well as Europe really leading the adoption and as well as innovation in additive manufacturing. So it kind of surprised us as well that Asia is actually the second largest market. And Asia today, if you look at it, is very diverse. We have many diverse economies, and they are at different stages of development and adoption, playing a role in different stages of the value chain additive manufacturing. Now, China, Japan, South Korea actually account for about 90% of Asia's additive manufacturing market.
Yeah, I can see why that would be, yes.
Because I think you can see that they have very strong national OEMs.
Now, if you'd said aerospace, I wouldn't have been surprised at all.
I wanted to highlight that, yes, while Northeast Asia actually accounts about 90% of Asia's additive manufacturing market, Southeast Asia is becoming a bright spot for adoption and innovation. So today, I think Southeast Asia actually contributes about 5% of the global manufacturing output. All right? And you see what's happening now when it comes to supply chain. We are seeing the regionalization of supply chain. And that's why ThyssenKrupp actually, projected that while, yes, Southeast Asia today contributes about 5% of global manufacturing output, but with the adoption of additive manufacturing usage, right, that market in terms of manufacturing value add could actually grow to about 82 billion euros.
Wow. That is impressive stuff. And it's interesting to hear you talk about the regional supply chains. So the last 2 years, we've all seen disruption, and we've all seen supply chain disruption right across the world. So you're obviously talking about the pandemic's affected the supply chains. It's making them more regional. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how that is bringing on success, I suppose, for the region?
We saw that during the COVID-19, that supply chains were disrupted. And then with the Suez Canal incident, that kind of further, exacerbated the situation as well. So I think companies increasingly are looking at diversification of supply chains, keeping actually, I would say that, keeping the supply chains a lot shorter, right, and building up supply chain resiliency.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, in the past, when it comes to supply chain, it's very much around, they call it just in
time?
Just in time. But now they're shifting towards just in case.
I like that, JIC.
Right, and so that's the reason why I think there is a lot more opportunities coming in Southeast Asia. I think in Asia, China has been known to be very strong in manufacturing.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at the US-China contestation, companies increasingly are also looking at diversifying the supply chain in Asia itself.
Okay, and bringing it more local, being less dependent on... so when you say shortening the supply chain, I guess that's in terms of the supply chain itself, but also how far afield it goes?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, it makes a lot of sense, really, but I think every region is going to be looking at that, not just Asia.
Yeah, but Rachel wanted to answer your earlier question around then what is Singapore's role in additive manufacturing, right? So Singapore, we are in Southeast Asia, just south of Malaysia. And I mentioned not many people would know Singapore is strong or has an installed base or strong base of manufacturing, right? If you had visited Singapore before, arriving at Changi Airport and then taking a cab to your hotel, you probably won't see any manufacturing facilities. But there's manufacturing contributes about 25% of our GDP. And we have a very diverse manufacturing base. You may not know this, but in aerospace today, we command about 10% of the global market share for maintenance, repair, and overhaul.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now, in additive manufacturing, then we have Collins Aerospace, which is a US aerospace company. It has set up its first additive manufacturing facility outside of the US in Singapore. And what's exciting is that additive manufacturing facility has about 40 applications that's being worked on.
40 applications for aerospace, as in going into the sky?
For additive manufacturing.
Wow, okay. How many processes do you know how... Is it all metal? Is it metal and polymer?
It is right now very much focused on metals.
Metal, yeah.
Then for the marine and offshore, we are the largest transshipment hub, which means lots of ships stopping by Singapore, unloading, resupply, getting resupplies as well as repairs. Right, and we are actually expanding and automating our port. It will be the world's largest fully automated port in the world. And most recently, actually, one of our local startups in additive manufacturing called 3D Metal Forge actually established the world's first commercial scale 3D printing production facility that's printing about 100 parts to be used for port equipment.
Wow, it's really exciting.
The other one is, so we talk about aerospace and marine and offshore port equipment, that are the large complex equipment. And that's why actually the Singapore government has been investing in what we call direct deposition technology.
Yeah.
Right. The other one that I wanted to highlight was that, in complex manufacturing as well, we actually command about global market share, about 10% of the global market share, not 10%, 20% of the global market share in terms of semiconductor manufacturing equipment.
That's a big market.
These are highly complex equipment. So HP is manufacturing its multi-jet fusion printers in Singapore, and they've actually entered into a collaboration, R&D collaboration in digital and additive manufacturing, one of our universities.
Oh, wow. Right, so lots of success stories.
And you may not know this, but today we have about 25% of the global additive manufacturing companies with presence in Singapore, with capabilities that span from design to manufacture to equipment to materials and services.
So in terms of all these success stories, which are brilliant, really great to hear about them, how important has the government support been in facilitating those?
Well, I will share what the Singapore government has been doing. I think the additive manufacturing industry recognizes three key challenges when it comes to driving adoption of additive manufacturing. One is the reliability of 3D printing process technology when going from prototyping to commercial scale mass production. Right. The second key challenge is the global shortage in additive manufacturing talent. The third is the lack of standards in making part qualification a lot accessible.
Yeah.
Today, I think when it comes to qualification parts, the cost of it is actually very, very high. So what the government has been doing is since 2014, we have been investing and actually funding some of our public institutions in, one, actually coming up with the R&D programs to train local additive manufacturing talent so they can actually work in partnership with companies to actually accelerate product development and to commercialize end users for applications. The second thing we've done, I spoke about the lack of standards that's making qualification a lot more costlier. It's actually supporting standards development by working with the likes of TUSUD and the DMV when it comes to qualifications and certification, so that the the additive manufacturing applications, has a clearer path towards qualification and commercialization. The third thing we have done is establishing a technology office and accelerator within our National Additive Manufacturing Innovation Cluster. So they are supposed to help provide the hands-on support when it comes to project management, as well as welcoming new players into the ecosystem. The other thing that Singapore has done, we spoke about standards, is actually participating actively in international certification standards organization. So for example, ASTM International, they have their Centre of Excellence for Asia Pacific in Singapore. And that's to coordinate their standards development projects in the region. And I was told that Singapore has already contributed 6 work items towards the international community.
Oh, wow.
Now, it's building on to my earlier point about the diversity of the manufacturing capabilities that's available in Singapore. We may not be strong in automotive, right, compared to, for example, China, Japan, or South Korea, but we have been proactively looking at the adoption of additive manufacturing in the other manufacturing sectors that we have leadership in.
Absolutely. And I think really on all that you've just said, I think a lot of other regions could actually learn from Singapore. But on that note, I think we have to wrap up. And thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.